Welcome on into the Stroke Limit Reach podcast. I am your host, Nick, here with my co-host, Mike. And welcome back, everyone. We got a pretty fun show for you guys. We're going to talk a little bit about the NBA and the NHL, what's going on in the second round of the playoffs. A lot of close, contested series in both of those. We're also going to talk about a couple things we saw over the weekend regarding the NFL and college football. And let's turn it over to you, Mike. Let's talk about the NBA real quick.
So over in the NBA, we got most of these series is tied at 2-2 at this moment. We got the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks. Knicks took the first two, then Pacers took the two after. At home, the Knicks have been very beat up and injured throughout. And, the Pacers have just kind of been grit and grinding their way into some wins. We got Game 5 tonight back over in New York. I think we can probably expect a New York win here to go up 3-2, but this could be a series that goes to 7.
How much are you buying in on this series? You see it all over ESPN right now. The main talking point is that the Knicks are the second most team with points per, or what is it, minutes per player or whatever. I think they're like their starters.
That's Coach Thibodeau.
Yeah, their starters are on the court 76% of the time. Is what it was showing.
More than that.
No, they showed it. They showed it was 76%. The only team in the playoffs that have a higher percentage is the Nuggets at 78%. But how much do you think that's actually playing into it, or do you think that's another ESPN talking point?
No, I think that's more than just a talking point. Their head coach, Coach Tibbs, is known throughout his career of overplaying star players. For instance, he's the reason why he's the person that I blame for Derrick Rose's knees giving out. When he was a coach of the Bulls, he played that man to death, and Derrick Rose already jumped and landed super aggressively, and he was my favorite player watching growing up. But, it's a big issue that you see with teams that he has is he'll just overplay the fuck out of every single one of their star players. I think Josh Hart, got to sit on the bench for the first time ever in Game 4, or first time in the playoffs at least. But I don't know. The team itself, they're beat up. I don't know if it's because of how much they're playing. I'm sure it puts a little point to it. But the Knicks have been having, injury issues, and it's just unfortunate. None of them have been, serious injuries where players got to miss games. But, you can see, it kind of makes them slow down in their step. And that's something we noticed a lot in Game 3 and 4 going back to Indiana. And Indiana absolutely took control of it and took advantage of that situation. So we'll see. I think with going back to New York, they had a little bit of a rest. I think New York will take this win. The next series that's going on tonight, we'll have Game 5 of the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets, also 2-2. I'm very upset because I had a $100 bet in on Minnesota to win in 7, and then after they went up 2-0 very early, very fucking dominantly, I cashed out.
Oh, no.
And took about $40 profit, but it's 2-2 now.
It's looking good.
Yeah, now it looks like it might have been a great fucking bet. So this is Game 5 going back to Denver where Minnesota took the first 2. I personally think Minnesota's going to come back. Anthony Edwards seemed rather pissed off at the end of Game 4. Him and Jamal Murray were kind of jacking it back and forth, and they really just I feel like they just came out slow to start the last couple of games, and Denver kind of took advantage of it. I think this is going to be a series, again, that just goes back and forth the entire time. It could go to 6, it can go to 7, but I don't know. I like the Timberwolves. I think they're playing the better team all around, but they just need to be able to limit some of the star players. And Aaron Gordon, I think, went off for a fucking stupid stat in Game 4, I want to say. I think he put up almost 30 points, which, he's a star, but he ain't like that kind of star. But we'll have to see tonight. Then we got the Dallas Mavericks and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Their Game 5 will be tomorrow. Series is tied 2-2 again. OKC started up, won the first game, lost the next 2, and then ended up winning last night in a fucking crazy fashion. The Mavericks had the control of that game for the majority of it. I'd say until about 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, OKC finally started to land the shots. Their defense was playing great, but they just were consistently down anywhere between 6 and 12 points up until that point. But they took charge at the very end, and I got to say, after watching that game, I can't stand Luka Doncic. Absolutely fucking can't stand watching him.
Why?
How we always used to talk about the LeBron effect of, you bitch for a foul every time something doesn't go your way.
Yeah.
That was all the Luka game was. Every time the Mavericks had a turnover, every time they missed a bucket, every time they got beat out on a rebound, anytime they had a turnover, it doesn't matter. It would immediately, you would see the camera pan to Luka Doncic. He would just be looking at the ref like, what the fuck is this? Like, how are you not going to, he'll just start bitching. And it was aggravating the fuck out of me watching it. I've been talking to my buddy Matt that you guys heard last week, and I kept telling him it's literally looking like OKC versus the refs out there. Because defensively, Oklahoma City was able to hold them the entire time. They were able to slow them down, keep them at a weird pace. It was just OKC needed to match the offense. So they finally started to near the end of the game where they just started dominating. But, I mean, the refs have to fucking be better. It was getting abysmal to watch. The refs have to be better. I like OKC on this. Again, I'm biased, but I think OKC has been the better team. Dallas, they've been exploding, not through really Kyrie. Luka's been playing all right outside of last game, but that could be because of his knee injury that he's been kind of suffering through. But, I mean, PJ Washington has been the fucking leader of that team, it seems, so far. Dude's been absolutely balling out of his mind for a fucking role player. Dude's not even supposed to be a factor, and he's out here banging fucking corner threes like it's nobody's job. But, that games will be tomorrow. I have OKC winning back at home. Then the Cleveland-Boston series. Boston's up 3-1. This is a series, I think, from start. I think Boston will win in 5-6. Like, Cleveland's not a bad team, but I think they'll be good enough to steal a game or two, which they were able to. Yesterday was their game 4. Donovan Mitchell was out with some sort of leg injury. I think it was like something to do with his calf, like a strained calf muscle or something. But he ended up not playing, and they absolutely could have used him. I think Boston ended up winning 5 or 6 points, but, I mean, Cleveland just needs full participation. They need full healthy lineup. They need everything to go right, and now with them being down 3-1, I just don't see it happening. Game 5 is going to be back in Boston, and I think that's going to be where Boston seals it. Right now, they're 15-point favorites, so I don't know if that's calculating that Donovan Mitchell's not going to be in or not. But, I mean, I imagine this game's going to be, or this series will be over tomorrow. That's it.
Yeah, so let's go over to the NHL real quick, talk about this before we get to talking about some of the interesting stuff we saw this weekend. First off, we'll start off with, again, I've said it since day one, and this is going to irritate the shit out of me because I should have bet on it, but I know if I would have bet on it, it wouldn't have ended this way, Mike. So, just so you know, I've been talking about just no team looks better than the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers are up 3-1 in the series against Boston after losing that first game at home. They've ripped off 3 straight. The odds tonight at 7 as we record this at 6:30 on Tuesday. Minus 225. Vegas thinks they are getting it done big, right? And they've honestly dominated this series. So the Panthers are still my Stanley Cup team. Their goalie is outstanding. Their defense is great. They're flying around on offense. They make stuff happen. They don't ever look rattled minus the first game of this series. That was the only time I've ever seen them look rattled the entire time watching them in the playoffs, even when they lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round in Game 4. Tampa's back's against the wall. They're trying to avoid elimination. Even that game, though, the Panthers kept fighting. I mean, Mike, hell, you bet on the Panthers down 3-0 to come back and win, and at one point I was like, motherfucker.
I've seen it before. It looked like it was happening. I was hyped.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to happen again. So, Panthers to me right now are just the clear-cut favorite, and they are now Vegas' favorite to win the Stanley Cup. So I thoroughly expect the Panthers to close out this series tonight against the Boston Bruins. The next game up tonight at 9:30 on Tuesday is the Canucks at the Oilers. Vancouver leads 2-1. Honestly, a surprise to me. Oilers coming off sweeping their first round. They go out. They lose the first game to the Canucks. They win the second on the road, and then they immediately come back and they drop the first game at home. So Oilers really need one tonight. They're at home before they go back on the road and are at Vancouver. I The Oilers are the favorite tonight, minus 200, and I think it is a critical must-win for them tonight to get this series back to 2-2 before they go ahead and go back on the road.
Fuck a Canadian.
Well,
I know they're both Canadian.
I was going to say,
fuck them.
They're both Canadian teams. Okay. Guess what, Mike? It's the Dallas Stars. What does that mean? They do the exact same shit they did the first time. They go and they lose the first game of the series at home, but instead of losing 2 straight at home and going on the road and winning 2, what do? They lose 1 at home and then go on the road, or they lose 1 at home, they win 1 at home, and they go on the road and they win both. So now all of a sudden, they're up 3-1.
So reverse choke now.
Yeah, it's they go ahead and drop the first one, kind of like the Panthers situation at home, and everyone's like, oh, fuck, here we go again. Dallas can't win at home, but they have, and I think this is honestly a pretty good bet. This is Wednesday night game. Dallas minus 145 at home against the Avalanche. Seems like kind of a trap bet because the Avalanche is a good team, but it's like when Dallas goes on a run like this, they're just hard to beat. Their offense gets firing. They can score a lot of points fast, but so can the Avalanche. But the Avalanche are just so inconsistent right now. They're not the team that we saw last year that is just an absolute frenzy on offense. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. They just don't have any consistency. So it is a scary bet to me if you bet on the Stars to close out this series tomorrow night. But, man, does it look good. That one minus 145 just seems like my lock. But
I don't know. I disagree with you. I think Dallas is a team that they tend to make everything scarier than it needs to be. Like, I don't know what it is, but I feel like every year, Dallas, at least the last couple years I've been paying attention to hockey, Dallas makes everything fucking scary. I think they're going to lose this one, let Colorado get that 2-3 series, and they'll close it out after that point.
You think they close it out on the road in Colorado, or it goes to Game 7?
I like the plus 120 for tomorrow night's game, and then probably the game after that, Dallas, I think we'll win in 6.
That would be on the road. It'd be a tough test. I almost think if they lose tonight, it goes to Game 7, and then it's anyone's game.
It could, but I mean, I think at the end of the day, Dallas will win the series, but I don't think they're going to win that easily.
Okay, and then to absolutely the hottest team on the ice recently, the New York Rangers go up 3-0, Mike. They look like they're absolutely just breaking it off into the Hurricanes' ass. And what do? Up 3-0, they lose the next 2, and all of a sudden we got a series here now that it's at Carolina for Game 6. Carolina could win this, and all of a sudden it's Game 7, game on. But talk about a best bet possibly. I think the Rangers get their shit together. They put out the fire that is the Hurricanes, and they win this as the underdog on the road, Mike. I think that is a good hot take bet.
I mean, personally, I'm just impressed. Carolina, to me, was one of my favorites to make a deep run in the playoffs, honestly. They looked really fucking good to start out the first round. I thought they would just look dominant and kind of smooth and methodical with everything. I figured they were going to take an early lead to this one, and the Rangers jumping out. You said a 3-0 lead?
Yeah, the Rangers jumped out 3-0, which was crazy because you want to hear this stat? The Rangers jumping out to a 3-0 lead put them, what would that be, 7-0 in the playoffs. They had a 7-0 run. They swept the first series, and they won the next 3 straight, and they lose 2, and all of a sudden they're like, uh-oh, here we go. We could get bounced. So it's kind of interesting. To me, they were the hottest team. They didn't even lose a fucking game for the first 7 games. So I don't know, but minus 170, Carolina is, they just were the favorite to win the Stanley Cup at the beginning, and they just haven't shown it to me. Some games, they look great. Great job, backs against the wall, but, no team ever has come back from down 3-0. And I just don't know if they're going to be able to do it. Vegas obviously thinks it's going to Game 7, but
maybe it goes to 7, but I don't know. In no sport that has a 7-game series has anyone ever came back down 3-0. And every time earlier this season with LeBron James going down 3-0, he won 1 game, and everyone was like, oh, can he fucking do it? No, he can't fucking do it. Nobody's going to be able to fucking do it.
Yeah, so interesting. Obviously we'll be able to tell you how some of these series play out on our Thursday, where we'll go and dive deeper into the NHL and the NBA playoffs as we start to see some teams move on, and you'll have some teams in that Game 7 range, late Game 6 range, where we'll be able to break down who we think's going to win the series when the back's against the wall. So That being said, let's talk about some of the stuff we saw this weekend, Mike. Starting with the NFL. The NFL announced that the season opener Thursday night game, Baltimore Ravens at Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, right there you have a return of the matchup of the AFC Conference Championship game, and obviously the Chiefs, who won the Super Bowl. They ended up beating the Ravens because it felt like the Ravens went away from what they like to do on offense. Like, it seemed like they weren't putting the ball in Lamar Jackson's hands, letting him run with it. They were trying to force throws, or they were trying to force a lot of just plays that they haven't done all year. And it's going to be interesting because now Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, they picked up Derrick Henry, who's been one of the best running backs in football, in just football in general over the last couple of years. I know last year he kind of had a down year. He's getting a little up there in age as a physical back. Like, to me, I think we're going to start seeing the regression of Derrick Henry. But just because, I mean, running backs like him don't last in the NFL like that. They hardly ever do. Well, you can't be a power back.
He's also getting old, though.
He's 30, 31 maybe.
Yeah.
Like, and that's old for running backs. Especially guys that lower their shoulder and rely on fucking running you over every single time.
Is it just me, though, or... Let me see. I don't want to come off like an absolute idiot since you're the NFL guy over here. But ever since, God, the fuck is the quarterback's name?
Lamar Jackson.
Yes. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. I'm blanking over here. Ever since Lamar Jackson had his breakout season in the NFL, where he proved
2019.
Proved all the haters wrong. Maybe it's just me being a hater, but. Do you feel like the Ravens are overhyped every year?
I mean, they were in the AFC Conference Championship game last year, and Lamar Jackson won the MVP for a second time last year.
I know, but like...
Granted, I don't think he should have won it.
But hold on. Before you go down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
As a casual NFL fan, which I'm absolutely a casual NFL fan. I watch games here or there, watch the playoffs. The Ravens never really scared me like, oh, they're going to win the Super Bowl like the fucking Chiefs do.
Offensively,
last year, yes.
Offensively, I think the Ravens have always had a lot to want to yearn for. Like, especially when it comes to, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with their GMs, but when it comes to wide receivers on that team, last year they had Zay Flowers as a rookie, and Zay Flowers looked good. But before that, it's like they picked the same fucking, like, short, fast wide receivers that don't really have a huge skill set, and you have a talent like Lamar Jackson, who is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and you're giving him dog shit fucking wide receivers. So, like, and then they combo it with a bunch of, like, mid-tier running backs that are just injury-prone as fuck. And you tend to only have Lamar Jackson out there running for his fucking life, trying to make offense. Last year, running backs got hurt a lot throughout the year. Wide receivers, you at least had Zay Flowers. Mark Andrews came in and out throughout the season. But, I mean, Lamar was able to do as much as he really could over there. It's just they need to build around him. He needs to have weapons. And Derrick Henry, like, cool, that's a weapon, but I think you might be 2 years too late to get him over there. So I don't know. Like, I like Lamar Jackson. I'm big on him. I don't think he should have earned MVP last year. As much as I hate the Cowboys, I think Dak Prescott should have won it with the kind of season he had. And Lamar Jackson, I think he's like the hype. He's the easy pick for everything because, like, he's fun to watch. He's flashy. He makes all these crazy plays, but I don't know. I mean, they're a scary team. Defensively, they're fucking terrifying. But we'll have to see. I think the offense will get better. They picked up Tez Walker from UNC. They got Derrick Henry. I think their offense is going to be a lot better this year. They have pieces that I truly like. I'm just hoping it's not too late for Derrick Henry.
Okay. And, like I said, I might be talking on my ass here. I'm just the most casual NFL fan ever. I just love football, though. So, on the flip side, Kansas City, are they the new, like, New England Patriots with Patrick Mahomes being the new Tom Brady in a sense where it's like it doesn't matter what happens in the regular season. As long as they make the playoffs, you can't bet against them. And it doesn't matter what the score of the game is. Patrick Mahomes almost has that aura around him like Brady had where you just better hope you don't give them the ball last with a chance to win because he will put his team in scoring position.
I mean, if I'm going to be honest, they're literally mirror images of each other. New England Patriots, Kansas City Chiefs. You have your Hall of Famer QB, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. You have your Hall of Famer tight end, Rob Gronkowski, Travis Kelce. You have your Hall of Fame head coach, Bill Belichick, Andy Reid. Then you have your fucking amazing defenses of fucking absolute fucking studs. That one couple years you had Tyreek Hill, similar to the couple years of Randy Moss was over there with New England. Absolutely dominated, could do whatever the fuck they wanted. Defense is top-notch, stellar. Absolutely fucking stopping teams from doing whatever the fuck they want. And then you got your one offensive guy that ends up getting arrested because he's trying to fuck people up. You got Aaron Hernandez, who killed someone. Now you got Rashee Rice, who's apparently beating up photographers in nightclubs and then fucking speeding down the highway, fucking causing all sorts of fucking issues. So he's probably, I don't know if he's going to play in the NFL anymore because I guess there's a warrant for his arrest. But I don't really think it fucking matters because the Chiefs are going to do whatever they want on offense with whatever bums they can get to catch the ball.
Yeah, I mean, how many rings does Patrick Mahomes have now?
I want to say this is his third ring, and he's been to the Super Bowl 4 times.
Yeah, and he's
only losing to Tom Brady. I think.
And he's still a young guy. Like
I think he's like 28. And
if there's a guy that can get to Tom Brady's numbers for Super Bowl wins, it's him.
Yeah, I mean,
and how bad would you be for Tom Brady, where you go out there and you're the best, greatest quarterback of all time, and all it takes is for the very next guy is right there.
The dude who you beat for your 7th ring to end up surpassing you.
I also think, though, that this just proves how, as the game evolves and becomes way more offensive driven, though, you're going to see this happen more and more often. Like, Tom Brady was kind of still in that era of transition from everyone being a defensive powerhouse and defensive first and games finishing 14-10, to now, flashy, let's score 45 points a game and win. So I'll be curious to see. I just wanted to see your take on that because I know you hate the Chiefs. But
I hate the Chiefs. I hate Patrick Mahomes, mostly just because I think it's too early. I don't. Let us fucking bathe in Tom Brady's greatness for a little bit before someone else just takes the throne, and he just immediately took the fucking throne. I don't know. They're entertaining to watch, but I'm not ready for the league to be dominated by another superhero.
So that being said, let's stay in the NFL. Let's talk about the bag that Jared Goff just got. 4-year, $212 million contract extension that includes $170 million guaranteed, Mike. He is now the number 1 overall highest paid Lion in franchise history. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, Jared Goff has been doing his thing over there in Detroit. Like, I understand people want to hate on it because, why the fuck are you paying Jared Goff, dude? Like, dude's a goofball. Like, no, the dude's a fucking stud. He's able to run that offense. He's not putting up your flashy numbers. He's not doing what Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes can do. He's going back, doing his 3-step job, making the read, making the throw, getting it to the guy. And the Lions' offense has been cooking with it. Like, pay the fucking man. You traded for him. You traded away Matt Stafford, and I think you received pick compensation for Jared Goff. And Jared Goff's been doing literally, if you put the two stats side by side since the trade, Jared Goff and Matt Stafford have put up the exact same fucking stats. Only difference, Lions haven't won a Super Bowl yet, but they seem like they're up and coming. Like, pay your franchise quarterback, lock him up. I agree with it.
So I'm on the tweet that Adam Schefter put out about the contract, and one of the top comments is this shout out Jay Hovey 34, whoever that is. He wrote the comment was Goff getting Ukraine aid type of numbers.
I saw that.
Oh, that's classic. But yeah, I mean, if there's nothing wrong with paying a quarterback that much as long as you know it's your guy and you don't go out next year and you pull a fucking Falcons situation. But
yeah, I mean, he's been equating to winning. Like I want to say they made the NFC Championship game last year before the Niners ended up beating them, and the Niners are a stacked fucking team. Like, the Lions are good.
They're definitely on an up and up, and I felt like they've kind of turned the tables of being this shitty team and coming around and being this playoff contender fairly quickly.
Absolutely. Dan Campbell had a process, and people were laughing at him at first, his first couple years there, and he's turned that program around. You can tell the energy of watching Detroit football has just been different. Yep. I mean, shit, even watching the draft, like, Detroit fans no longer had paper bags over their heads. They were proud.
And then staying in with the No Fun League, the NFL, Roger Goodell and NFL just continue to do stupid shit. I know we talked about it a little bit off air.
I was thinking about that. Go ahead and finish your statement. I think I know why.
They go ahead and they put 2 games on the Saturday of the first round of the playoffs. So go ahead and defend it.
So the first round of the NFL playoffs or the first round of
first
college?
round of the college football playoff.
Yeah, so, I mean, college football playoffs obviously probably got, with it being extended, I'd imagine the playoffs are happening probably a little bit sooner.
Probably.
So, I mean, the NFL, they've been doing Saturday games.
They have. I mean, they have.
So, like, I feel like it was more of a thing of the NFL's not changing their schedule. And I do agree they should have. But I think it was more so the fact they're not changing their schedule because college decided to completely rework their entire playoff process.
Yeah, but it's also stupid as fuck. The NFL has already shown on paper that they are like struggling for views in the regular season over the past couple of years. That's known. The stats are out there. Why do you make it harder for yourself? Why not adapt and be like, oh, well, let's go ahead and slide the games to Sunday?
Yeah, no, I agree. They should have because, I mean, throughout the majority of the regular season, it's on Saturday or Sunday anyway. I don't know why they even started moving them to Saturday. I think they did it a few years back. And to me, always pissed me off.
I do like when they move them towards the end of the season once college is done.
When college is finished, yes.
Because then it's like, okay, now we still have 2 days of football to watch. I love it. And then as a college fan that's just a casual NFL guy, I'm like, okay, well, I can still wake up.
I don't got to change my schedule.
Yeah, I can still watch my Saturday football. But there is not a soul out there. There's not a football fan out there or a casual fan that's going to turn on and watch the NFL when the fucking playoffs are watching.
Yeah,
unless you're a fan of the team in the NFL that's playing.
I love the NFL, but no, I mean, even
especially at the end of the season when the games don't really matter.
Yeah,
so
like that was what I was going to say is like, say the Giants are in a fucking weird series where we have to win out to make the playoffs, and we've been fucking finishing strong, and the playoff game that it's interfering with is some fucking bullshit teams that I don't give a damn about. I might watch the Giants, but only in that fucking specific scenario, which is also not going to happen because the Giants are only winning 6 to 9 games this year.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. The NFL just continues to do stuff in the offseason that just baffles me. Like, they're like the United States government. They're so separated from reality. They just like, oh, yeah, the people are going to love this. Is it they're ignorant or do they just not give a fuck? Because I just don't think they give a fuck. Like, I don't think they know. They know what they're doing is not the correct answer sometimes.
There's some things, some changes they've made that I've liked. There's some that I've absolutely hated. Like the hip drop tackle is probably my least favorite thing they've done. I'm not a fan of the new kickoff rules, but I also don't really understand it. I guess some people were saying it's going to be a good thing. I'm intrigued to see how
injury, but it takes.
No, they were saying because I could see for the most part of if 95% of the kickoffs are getting fair caught or just back of the end zone, this is at least giving kickers a reason to want to keep the ball in play to let the kickoff happen. So it could be more exciting just because we actually get to watch a kickoff instead of, knowing it's going to be a fair catch or an automatic to the 25-yard line type thing. So in that instance, I have to see how it plays out. A lot of people have been like super big on it. A lot of people have been super bad on it. I just truly don't know how it's going to work, so I'd like to see it happen. The padding on the helmets that they're allowing people to wear, I personally don't give a fuck as long as it's not like every single player and it looks stupid as shit.
It's going to look stupid as shit.
My thing is I feel like it's only going to be like the quarterbacks that wear it.
I'm sure there's going to be receivers and shit who wear it.
I don't know if there will be, truly. I don't know how many I haven't seen that many players go on to like say they're a big fan of it.
I mean, a lot of them wear it in practice, though.
Like in practice, but a lot of it's also mandated by the team that you wear it in practice, especially in the offseason because you're not trying to get any kind of weird injuries during fucking practice. Like, I get that.
All I know is we're just slowly wrapping them in bubble wrap and turning the sport into the softest fucking sport.
I agree, but, I mean, like I said, some things I understand.
Like, football's a violent sport.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't understand how they're trying to make the game so safe. It's a violent sport. You know what you're signing up for.
Make changes to make the sport safer, but don't change the integrity of the game.
Yeah, I mean, like, my biggest pet peeve with the NFL, and you see it slowly transitioning over to college, which pisses me off, is the stupid-ass fucking we got to protect the quarterback shit. Like, there are so many times. You can basically not sack anyone in the NFL anymore. If you fall on them, you're fucked.
The whole body weight thing pisses me off. It's so misscrewed because they're not even consistent with the call either, which is the most aggravating fucking part.
I hate, there's a couple things I hate, okay? I can understand the rule that they implemented, universally.
Targeting?
Besides that,
okay.
In college and the NFL was going low. Yeah. So I think going low is a cheap shot because the quarterback is stepping into it. Now, I don't like the same thing in the head where they said you can't hit him in the head. I can understand that, but what I don't like is the way the rule's written where you could have a D lineman come in and make a tackle and he fucking trips over
I forget what game it was.
and he like hits
me
him
and you
in
were
the
watching
leg.
together. I think it was the Miami game against. I want to say it might have been Georgia Tech, but I remember me and you were watching it, and the Miami D lineman literally tripped because the O lineman like cut block.
Yeah.
He jumped over and tripped on him and was falling towards the quarterback. Didn't hit the quarterback, but they called a roughing the passer, and it would have went from. It was a 3rd and 8 or some shit. It would have been 4th down, kick the field goal. Instead, automatic first down. Now they're in the red zone.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with like, what do you do as a D lineman when you can't get to the quarterback? You put your hands up and you try to bat the ball down. That's another pet peeve of mine. You're 2 feet or a foot in front of the quarterback, and he throws it, and you go to bat the ball down, and your momentum's going forward, and you fall down, and you hit him in the top of the head with your fucking hand. And they go, that's pass
understood.
interference. He hit him in the head. I'm like, dude, that's
I
not
don't think they
hurting.
call it pass interference.
No,
They call it unnecessary
I'm sorry,
roughness.
I'm not pass interference. I'm sorry, it's roughing the passer still.
Oh, it's roughing the passer?
Yes.
Yeah,
So you can't hit him in the. Yeah, it's so stupid. Like, rewrite the rule. Like, that's not protecting anybody. It's just the D lineman.
I could see if the dude is
scared.
coming down and straight up hammer punching the fucking helmet, like straight up coming down like you're in a UFC fight.
Yeah, but when do you ever see that? That's the thing.
Exactly. You'll always see it
That's
like
gonna
the
hurt the
wrist
fuck
will
out of your
nick
hand.
you'll see like the wrist of the D lineman will nick the side of the helmet or some shit, and they'll throw the flag, and that's stupid.
So enough complaining about the rules. I could do that all night. I mean, there's just so many stupid rules nowadays. But Mike, you want to try a trivia question?
Yeah, what's the category?
So it's going to be a little, I'm going to kind of give you some hints. I can give you some more hints. We'll start out kind of difficult, but name me what quarterback holds or is tied for the single game passing yard record in college.
Oh, God.
He is also currently in the NFL, and he's also won MVP.
He's won MVP, and so I'm going to say it's Patrick Mahomes.
You're
with
right.
Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was the Texas Tech versus Baker Mayfield and Oklahoma game he did that, correct? I remember that game being an absolute shootout.
I do not know. I kind of don't think so, though. This is October 22nd, 2016. So look up what game that was. He threw for 734 yards, tying the exact yardage for Connor Holiday from 2014 in Washington State. So look that up, because that's kind of wild. Like 734 passing yards is nuts. What game was it?
I'm trying to find that right now. 2016. I see some
22nd.
remembering the 2016 Oklahoma Texas Tech shootout.
Yeah, I mean, that has to be it then, I would assume.
Mahomes and Mayfield set FBS record for passing yards by two opposing players in the same game of 1,279.
Oh, that has to be it then.
Mahomes had 734 yards.
So you're
yes.
right. Wow, look at fucking. Dude, I'm so surprised.
Fucking no
I shouldn't have
ball,
told
dude.
you he was an MVP.
Fucking no ball.
I should have just told you.
I was already leaning on that because I kept thinking. I was like, I remember Oklahoma and Texas Tech had a wild game, but I was almost leaning on Kyler Murray for some stupid fucking reason.
So let's get into college now and talk about that. I know I'm so excited for this season with the new 12-team playoff. And ESPN today dropped where the college game day will be for the Week 1 show. That's going to be Notre Dame at Texas A&M. And Mike, personally, I think this is like a must-win game for Notre Dame. Like Brian Kelly leaves and goes to LSU. You know, the new coach steps up. He's done all right. I mean, he has done some good things.
I mean, they were looking really good last year up until their quarterback, Sam Hartman, got hurt, and he missed some time, I believe.
I mean, they could have beaten Ohio State.
Yeah, they should have beat.
Like, I'm not saying that he's by no means on the hot seat.
They had like 9 men on the field on the final play of the game to let Ohio State walk into the fucking end zone.
I'm just saying, as a Notre Dame fan, like, I'm not saying that myself as a Notre Dame fan. I'm saying, like, if you were a Notre Dame fan, there is no way that you can allow your coach that's supposed to be building your program, you know, to be a championship contender, go out there and go on the road Week 1 and lose to Texas A&M, who just fired their entire coaching staff.
And lost half their team in the transfer portal.
But the funny thing is like Vegas, I can see Texas A&M winning. Right now it's an even pick'em. It's just total terrible situation if you're Notre Dame, because you're going on the road to Kyle Field, who holds 101,000, and it's the first game of the season. It's going to be absolutely fucking sold out, packed.
Yeah, I mean, and even though Texas A&M lost a lot of talent in the transfer portal, like that team still has talent. They are still flooded with 5- and 4-star recruits all over there. They have the athletes to win games. They were missing the coaching and the fucking actual logic of I keep wanting to call it like a front office, but I guess college doesn't really have that. But like in general, like the coaching staff, they needed common sense from them. They just didn't have it with that fucking dude from FSU, Jimbo Fisher. Fucking,
he's just very stuck in his ways and with his old school offenses. They try to bring in Bobby Petrino, didn't really help at all. But again, Bobby Petrino's a good coach, and it comes to the point of we don't really get to see because it's behind the scenes how much Jimbo actually let Bobby do. So you run into that, but I don't know. It's just Texas A&M, I don't think they're going to be that great next year because they are going to have to rebuild.
Yeah, so I'm not saying they're going to be competitors by any means, but they're still going to be that team that's like, they're going to give you a fucking challenge, especially when you go there, like you said, in that stadium filled with 100,000 fans. The environment alone is going to be difficult, especially early August, fucking probably, is that the night game?
Yes, it is at, I think, 6:30 Central Time, which would be their time.
Okay. Well, I was going to say it's probably going to be hot as hell over there in Texas, but I guess at that point in time,
it'll
maybe not.
It'll still be hot. It's still hot at night in Texas. It's like 100 fucking degrees when the sun goes down. So, but I mean, still though, Notre Dame's offense is the thing to me. I know they got Riley Leonard, which is going to be.
Riley Leonard is so fucking good.
He is good,
He's
but
so
look,
fucking
what?
good.
But here's my point. Ready? This is a great point. Sam Hartman at Wake Forest looked like a dog.
Yeah.
They were scoring 50 points a game, right? Goes to Notre Dame. And they're winning games, by scoring 20 points.
They looked really good early on, but they were playing chumps.
Yeah, but when they go and they play Ohio State, look at that.
Yeah.
They literally scored 14 points.
I think it was more than
13.
that. I think
no,
it was more than that.
Look up the final score while I talk about it. Because I remember Ohio State having to score late in the game to win when there was some controversy on the end of the game if he actually got in the end zone. But
okay, 17-14.
yeah, I mean,
for some reason I thought that game was in the 20s.
No, they only scored 14 points. So that's like my whole thing. If that's how I think Texas A&M can win this game, because I don't care if it's Riley Leonard. I just think the coach for Ohio State, not Ohio State, for Notre Dame, they don't have a high-powered offense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the stats for that game. Sam Hartman had 17 completions off 25 attempts, 175 yards, 1 touchdown. Like, nothing impressive.
Yeah, but nothing
Kyle
impressive.
McCord,
but
21-37, 240 yards.
Yeah, but at least with Kyle McCord, they let their quarterback try to throw it 37 times. With Sam Hartman, he's a fucking gunslinger, and you threw
it's
it
like
25
they're playing
times.
a pro-style offense, and that's not the type of quarterback that they had.
And when you watched Duke upset Clemson last year, first game of the season, Duke absolutely let Riley Leonard do what he wanted and ball, and he wins games with his legs, with his arm, with his talent of reading defenses. You can't just let this man go out there in the pro-style offense when he goes down to Texas A&M and hand the ball off and throw it 25 times a game and think you're going to win. I just don't see it. I know Texas A&M lost players, but they still have dogs. Like, they're going to line up, and you're not going to be able to run the ball every fucking play.
Yeah, I mean, Riley Leonard, to me, he's one of the more underrated quarterbacks in college football next year. There's not a lot of buzz around him, but, like, I'm telling you, every time I watch a Duke game and, like, he's the one. He made me watch Duke games. They were actually entertaining to watch last year, and this dude was just balling out with them. And I think he's going to be something special in the NFL. I think he's going to be one of those dudes who kind of goes by underappreciated. He's going to have a good year with Notre Dame, but they have to use him right.
All right, so speaking about the notable Week 1 matchups, ESPN today being May 14th released the times that some of the big games are going to be played. Starting off with the Thursday night game. I love this, Mike. I love this because it is Thursday night game at prime time for the East Coast at 8 o'clock at night. And if this was a game on a Saturday with the rest of these games, I would never watch it. But the fact that it's on a Thursday night, when you have the absolute powerhouse in the FCS of North Dakota State going on the road and playing Colorado for their opener, as Colorado and Deion Sanders, this is an absolute nightmare. This is an absolute nightmare because you've got a team that realistically you should beat FCS teams. But you went ahead and scheduled the FCS team. That's kind of like a James Madison that really deserves to move up and be in the Division I. So, God, it just seems like a trap game for Colorado being the first game of the season.
Yeah, I mean, if they, God forbid, they fucking lose that game one, like
if they
their
lose-
season's over.
If they lose that, how is ESPN going to spin that into Deion Sanders, the greatest coach of all time?
Yeah,
I
their
don't
season's
know.
going to be over. They need to absolutely use this as a. Last year was Dion and Shadurs and all of them. Their first year in Colorado, so they went like 4-8 or 5-6 or some shit.
Some shit like that.
Like they didn't have a good fucking year.
But that's what everyone thought was going to happen, minus ESPN.
Yeah,
All
I mean,
the real
ESPN tried to
fans.
shove it down our throats, but we kind of knew realistically, like, hey, they have some athletes, but they're
Do you remember the
not gonna
stupid
be able
ass
to compete.
tweet that ESPN posted out?
2019 LSU versus
What would
2022.
the spread be after
yeah.
they won against TCU? And people were like,
Yeah,
you
when they
know,
were like
saying
2-0 or
100,
some shit.
the spread would be 100. It looked like that at the end of the year, but
But I mean, like, this is the year where they get to prove that Dion's actually been rebuilding that team and getting the right pieces that he needs. And I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and hate on them and say they're not good because I mean, Shadur is a good QB. They have good talent on the
they're
team.
still an exciting team to watch. And I think them, especially moving to the Big 12,
Yeah.
I think it makes it even more exciting.
Do I think that they are a playoff contending team?
No.
Absolutely not.
Do I think that they can? Well, you know, what, let's go ahead and play this game. Let me go ahead and pull up their schedule.
All right.
Because I do think that there is going to be a massive improvement for last year because they did lose some games they shouldn't have lost.
And I do think it was a good year for them to move into the Big 12 with
Yes.
teams like Texas and Oklahoma leaving.
Yes.
I think that opens up the Big 12 to anyone's
So
fucking
yeah,
ball
North
game now.
Dakota State game 1. So let's just go ahead and say
I'm going to
Colorado
give them a
wins.
win. I'm going to give them
Yeah.
a win. I don't think it'll be an impressive win, but it'll be a win.
So they're on the road at Nebraska. I think they do the same thing again. They win there.
Win.
Right?
Nebraska's getting stupid hype, though, for no fucking reason.
They do every year because it's Nebraska. They're a big name.
Yeah.
But
A story.
Colorado at Colorado State. This is one of the games they fucked up last year.
Yeah, that was an exciting game to watch last
It
year.
was.
I remember thinking it was going to be the stupidest shit, a complete waste of my time. I think it was you or your brother called me like,
Yeah.
"Holy fucking shit, dude!
It
You
was-
need to
it
put
was
this on
back
right
and
now."
forth. There's fights going on. It was honestly
Yeah, I think
great.
I watched like middle to second quarter, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I need to fucking tune into this motherfucker."
Yeah. So I'm gonna say a win there. Let's go 3-0 for the Buffaloes. ESPN will be down on their knees, slobbing on Dion.
Oh, for
'cause
sure.
if they start off 3-0, and especially if they win this next game, Baylor at Colorado. I don't know what to think about that because Baylor's not a good team, but they're still a team that Colorado could lose to.
Yeah, Baylor's a weird team that like they'll be bad for like 5 years straight, and then they'll randomly come out and they'll be like, "Hey, by the way, we're a legitimate college football
This
team."
is what I'm going to tell you. ESPN's going to slop on them even more because they're going to beat Baylor. They're going to be 4-0. Okay, 4-0 Buffaloes going on the road to take on Malzahn, who we watched firsthand in person. Colorado, if they're 4-0, they'll do some stupid shit and rank them. And Gus Malzahn will be like, you know what we do against ranked teams when we're the underdog? We absolutely fuck you up. But when we play teams that that suck, we'll lose. I mean, so I do think that they go on the road to UCF and UCF handles them.
I think UCF has a good team. They've picked up a couple of good fucking offensive pieces this offseason in the transfer portal. I like UCF. I think
UCF could win by like 20.
I think UCF can low key win the conference. I think that's a stretch, but I think they can compete.
Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna have to clip that. But so
think they can
So
compete.
they go 4-0. They lose to UCF. They're 4-1. They have a home game next against Kansas State. I think they lose. They lose that. Kansas State, in my opinion, is the best team in the conference. They go and they lose that. They're 4-2. Right. They go on the road to Arizona. Arizona's on the up and up. They've come back from the just worst team in the
I don't
Pac-12.
know. I'm still not big on Arizona. I might just be.
But they win
late.
9 games last year?
I know. I might just be late to the party with them. I'm not impressed with them.
So
I'm not in love with that team.
So I'm gonna say they lose again. They're all of a sudden they're 4-3 after starting off 4-0. Then they have a home game against Cincinnati, who I think is just shit, and I think they
Yeah,
win
it's
that.
been downhill since it went to the playoffs. For
Yeah,
them.
well, their coach left.
Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
he's at Wisconsin. That's what all the hype about Wisconsin's for.
Yeah.
So they win. They're 5-3 now. They go on the road to Texas Tech. I think is always a sneaky team, high flying offense. Texas Tech beats them in my opinion, especially in can't even think of the name of the town. It'll come to me. In Texas Tech, up there in the freaking handle.
Was it like Red Rock or something like
No,
that?
no, Red Rocks is in Colorado. It's shit. Okay, well, it'll come to me. Watch, I'll just blurt it out. I'll blurt it out
it's
here in a
something-
second. But anyway, yeah, I think they lose that game.
I have Colorado beating Texas Tech.
Really?
Yeah.
So you have them 6-3 at this point. I have
Yeah.
them 5-4.
I think 6-3.
Okay, they play Utah next.
Utah.
Yeah, I think Utah.
At Utah or at Colorado?
It's at Colorado, but I think Utah is a team.
I think it'll be an interesting game to watch, but I do think Utah will be better. Cam Rising's still there, right?
Dude, I don't know.
I think it's like his 18th year.
Yeah, who knows with that fucking guy? I think he is, to be honest, 'cause he didn't really play at all last year.
Yeah, he was hurt.
So, yeah, I have a loss there. So, on my end, I have him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 losses. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins. Okay, so I'm at 5-5 right now. You have him at
6-4.
6-4. They play at Kansas next. I think they lose that.
Kansas wins.
Yeah, so they're 5-6 in my opinion. Mike's got them at 6-5.
Yeah.
Yep. Then they play Oklahoma State to finish it, and I think they lose that. And I think they finish 5-7, one game better.
I don't. Oklahoma State. I feel like Oklahoma
Ollie
State
Gordon's
lost.
still there, isn't he?
I don't think so. I think he transferred.
No, I'm pretty sure Ollie Gordon's still there.
You might want to check that. I feel like Oklahoma State lost a lot of talent in the transfer portal this offseason. I could be absolutely talking on my ass there, but I want to say he left.
No, Ollie Gordon is still a running back.
He is still there?
Let me see, actually. Hold on.
I don't know. I feel like that game's going to be closer than we'd like to think. I'm not super big on
Ollie
Oklahoma
Gordon
State.
is still there.
I'm not super big on Oklahoma State,
I'm not
especially after
either.
we watched UCF dick them down last season.
I agree, but they're always that team that somehow ends up with 9-8 wins. So I have them right around that 5-6 win range, the Buffaloes.
I think I have them at 6-7 wins.
Okay, which I still think is good for going into the Big 12.
Yeah.
So that being said, we'll go into the next one, which is Clemson and Georgia. I just don't see a chance in hell that, sorry, Trey, if you're listening, but I just don't see Clemson keeping it close. Like, in the first half, for sure. But I think at the end of the game, Georgia will end up winning by 17 points.
I mean, it's going to be a tale of two better defenses in college football going at each other. I mean, we've seen Georgia get next man up for the last 2 years, and
they didn't really lose
They
anybody,
step
though.
up. They lost Brock Bowers. They lost Ladd McConkey.
That's okay, dude. They have
They
dogs
lost
behind them.
2 offensive linemen. They lost a safety.
Dude,
they lose a lot of pieces.
In my opinion, this is going to sound crazy. Their offense is going to be better this year than last year. Yes.
I don't know. Their offense is the part that scares me, and their defense, I'm sure, is going to be super good. But, I mean, to counter it, Clemson hasn't done anything to their offense.
But you know what the difference is?
They haven't fixed their holes.
But you know what the difference is between Clemson and Georgia is, okay, if you're nervous that Georgia's players are moving on and going to the NFL.
Georgia's pulling people to fix that, though.
Yes.
They are using the transfer portal and are filling those holes.
Yeah, Clemson has.
That was what I was going to have to say with Clemson is, they haven't picked anyone up in the transfer portal. Yeah, they're next man up too, but there's a talent gap. When you're just doing in-home fucking next man up, and when you're fucking stealing and poaching from your neighbors,
They've been on
going next man
ever
up.
since the transfer portals became a thing. They have been on a slow downcline, and I just don't see them going up.
They finished the year super good last year, but I mean, I don't know. Clemson, to me, defensively, they're going to be there. They're going to give Georgia's offense a run for their money early in the game. I think it'll be a low-scoring first half. So mark this, whatever the fucking first half spread is of that game, take the under.
See, I don't know if I would say that, though, because honest to God, I think that Georgia just comes out wheels burning on fire. I just don't see it, Mike. Look, let's put it this way, right? 2018, you have the 15-0 national champion. 2019, they're 14-1. 2020, they're 10-2, right? That's after COVID. This is where I think they could take the downward swing. 2021, they finished 10-3. However, they were 9-3 in the regular season, right? 2022, they finished 11-3. Again, they were 10-3 in the regular season. And then last year, they go 9-4, and pretty sure they were...
They lost in the bowl game.
Yeah, so they were 9-3 again.
Actually, no, did they lose in the bowl game?
No, I think they were actually 8-4, and they won the bowl game to get to 9-4. Yeah. So, yes, that is correct. So,
I mean, but they were 8-4, and I think they started out fucking 3-4.
They did start off bad, but that's my point, though, is I don't see any chance that this team, without using the transfer portal and Dabo being as stubborn as he is, to just turn the program around and be that 15-1 and 15-0 and 14-1. I just don't think it's coming back.
No, and I agree. I think until they start using the tools that everyone else is using, like you can't handicap yourself and expect your team to still remain a top program. I think their defense is still going to be tough. Their defense is going to be what Clemson's always been known for, and that's been in-house recruiting. They've been getting fucking studs. And that won't change.
But
offensively, I don't see them doing much.
To that point, though, I don't think they've been doing that well recruiting. That's my thing. I just don't think what has their last couple recruiting classes been? Like, I'll pull it up real quick, but
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't even think they were in the
because
top
Dabo
20.
has that dumb fucking rule.
Yeah, if you go visit a school after
he pulls your scholarship.
Yeah, after he offers you, you're done.
So right now this is 2024. Let me see if I can pull up 2023.
Everything Dabo does just seems super fucking old school. Like, and when I say old school, I don't mean just 5-10 years ago. I mean like back in the fucking 90s.
Last year they got 15th.
15th? That's not terrible.
That's not good for being a team that's supposed to winning national championships.
No, I mean that.
2022, 14.
Yeah.
Let's see. 2021 was the last good recruiting class. They had 5.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot to prove.
To your point, this year's recruiting class so far, 15.
Yeah.
They
have a lot to prove.
You know what also the problem
they're
is?
They're not going to be there.
What does their transfer rank say at the bottom? Not available. Because they don't fucking take them.
Zero.
It's honestly so ridiculous, and I just don't know why he would do that to his team, but...
I don't know. He's trying to prove a point, or like at this point, it's just stubbornness, and it's stupid. Your stubbornness is costing your program at this point.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll quickly pass over these next 2 games because we've kind of touched base on them. The next one being Miami at Florida. Everyone knows, Mike and I's bet. That game's at 3:30. Obviously, I'll eat the world's hottest chip live on air.
Yes, you will be.
And continue if Florida loses. And Mike will dress up in the fucking Big Gator costume and sing the fight song live on air while I film it and put it on Twitter.
Hey, at this point, it won't be happening.
So that'll be interesting. And also, I saw a tweet, Mike. This one's pretty funny. Mike will be at the game, so if you see him, just go ahead and kick him in the nuts. But the tweet was Miami versus Florida kickoff mid-afternoon in Gainesville in August. And then it goes schedule makers. If they die, they die.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a little brutal.
Just think about all the bodies that the University of Florida is going to collect. If you're a freshman at 18, 19 years old, you're going in for your first ever tailgate against a huge team, and it's 100 fucking degrees outside, and you've been drinking all day. Just think about how many freshmen be passed out everywhere.
Brother, I'm past being a freshman. I'm gonna be getting rolled out of there in a fucking stretcher.
Yeah, it's gonna be brutal. I don't know why they thought it was a good idea, but then the primetime game for Saturday night, Notre Dame at Texas A&M. We talked about that at 7:30 Eastern time on ABC. The Sunday game is very interesting to me just for the simple fact that I think LSU is another one of those teams where I think Brian Kelly really hasn't done anything to prove to me that LSU is a good team. Last year, they disappointed the entire, country. Me and you had them as our SEC champion, and wow, did they disappoint everybody. They did not look good. So I don't think they've gotten any better. They lost Jaden Daniels, their player. They go and they play USC in Las Vegas week 1, and as much as this hurts me, I don't know if LSU can win. Like
LSU's going to have a down year. Who'd you say they were playing week 1?
USC. Now, I don't think USC's good either because they just lost their players, but they're like in the same situation. It's like a pick 'em.
But their quarterback also in that fucking bowl game looked really fucking good.
Yeah, and LSU's defense looks really fucking bad.
They always do.
No, they don't. LSU's always known to have
LSU's
a great
defense in the last 2 to 3 years has been very bad.
LSU's defense has looked bad under Brian Kelly.
Yeah, the last 2 to 3 years.
2 years, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I said let me correct myself. I'm not talking about 2019 LSU, dog.
They're known
I'm
to
talking
have
about
great
under
defenses.
this current regime.
How long do you think Brian Kelly... You think if Brian Kelly wins 8 games this year, he gets fired? I personally think so.
I think he should. I don't think he's done anything to help the program.
There's no reason that LSU should not be at the level of Alabama and Georgia.
No, I mean, since 2019, they've stepped backwards. I mean, which obviously after having a team like 2019, you're going to go backwards. But they just can't even glimpse like the same level of talent on the team. To me personally, I think Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, I think they were fucking dogs. They were comparable to some of the other wide receiver cores that LSU team had.
But also,
I don't think Jaden Daniels is Joe Burrow. I don't think the fucking team is built well across offense and defense. Like, there's just holes everywhere, and the coaching just seems lazy.
Well, it's like you can hate on Ed Orgeron all you want when he was at LSU, right? But
I fucking love Coach O.
But, like, for all the haters out there, yes. Was he a good coach? Not really. But was he a great CEO? Absolutely. What does Ed Orgeron know? Defense. Their defense was good. What is he not very good at? Offense. What does he do? He brings in the offensive mastermind that's now in the fucking NFL. Can't remember his name. The young kid up in the booth. And what does he do? Brings in Joe Burrow. Brings in all of these guys to go out there and produce this, one of the greatest offenses we have ever seen, matched up with a defense that just has to be average. But the defense showed you that. They were lazy, and they were giving up 20, 30 points a game. But then all of a sudden the playoffs come around, and they're like, you know what, we're going to lock you down to 14 and beat you 62-14.
Yeah.
So that was one of the greatest teams we've ever seen. And, you know, you can say whatever you want about Ed O. At least he did stuff to build the team to make him better. I just don't see Brian Kelly doing anything.
No, like I said, it just seems lazy. Like, they're not going after their weaknesses.
It's almost like he thinks, like, we're LSU and it'll recruit itself, which it will. And I think it's what you're seeing, but they're not doing anything flashy. I mean,
not even necessarily flashy. They're not hitting the trenches. They need to hit the trenches. That is what Coach O was big on, was the trenches. And this dude's just saying, fuck it. It'll figure itself out.
But in the SEC too, it's like, if you're just letting things go, like, just, you know, it'll recruit itself. In my opinion, right now, it is so competitive with Georgia and Alabama. And you see Auburn going out there and getting these big recruiting classes. You see Ole Miss dragging in all of these transfers. You got a new good coach in Texas A&M who has loads of money. You got Texas who has loads of money. Oklahoma, yes.
Right now they're looking bad, but
Florida,
in the future.
Florida, who's bad, hold on, but still a powerhouse program. All of these teams are going to build up and get better. And for LSU, you could easily be, in my opinion, the second best team in the conference right now behind Georgia if you just fucking recruit a little better, got some better transfers, you know, had a better defense. I just don't know why they can't put everything together. It just baffles me right now. But then the Monday night game,
go Tigers,
at 7:30 Eastern time, is Boston College at Florida State. And what's funny is this will be Florida State's second conference game of the season, Mike. I don't know what they were thinking there, but I think Florida State wins the first two games. But
yeah, I mean, it's Georgia Tech and Boston College. I'm not too worried about it if I were a Florida State fan.
Yeah, and the last thing we'll talk about before we get into our best bets here is we've got Alabama at Wisconsin is set now, Mike, September 14th at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So low-key, I think this is a great move by Wisconsin because you're taking Alabama and you're forcing them to play early in a packed house compared to late at night when they're going to be absolutely hyped up and get ready to kick the shit out of you. And it's also going to be an early game for them with a new coaching staff. They could be on upset alert, in my opinion. I don't think Wisconsin's good, but I'm also curious to see how Alabama does with this new coaching staff, and obviously, as the greatest coach of all time, has moved on. So, that being said, Mike, do you have your bets ready? Because I just went to go pull mine up. For the most
part, I have a good idea of what I want to do.
Because guess what just happened for me? My Hard Rock bet is updating. But now it just opened. There we go. We're good. You go ahead and go first.
All right, so my first bet that I think is a lock. I have, disclaimer, Boston winning. But right now the spread being 14.5, that's way too much. I don't care if Donovan Mitchell's playing or not. They proved they can keep it close. Going back to Boston, the spread at 14.5, I'm taking the plus 14.5 Cleveland. I think they lose, but I don't see them getting blown out. They're too good of a team even without that guy.
So this
minus 105 is the odds, by the way.
Okay. So I'm going to do it to you, Mike. I'm sorry. My lock, Dallas. Give me the Stars. Hockey here. Minus 145. Close it out. Move on to the next round. I think it's clicking for them. I think they take down the Avalanche. Just too inconsistent for me. Give me them minus 145. Who is your hot take?
All right, so my hot take, I'm just going to say fuck you. I'm going to take Colorado money line plus 120.
That's okay. I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
No, but this way only one of us can win.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. My hot take, give me the Rangers plus 130, Mike, on the road here, okay, to take down and seal the series after starting up 3-0 and losing 2 straight. Now it's 3-2. Give me them to win Game 6 here, win the series 4-2. What do you got, Mike?
All right, so for my hot take, we're doing a parlay. I got the Thunder money line, Luka Doncic under 27.5 points, Kyrie Irving under 20.5 points, and PJ Washington over 15.5 points for plus 800 odds.
Okay, I'm going to get a little aggressive here.
Try to win big.
I'm going to get a little aggressive here. Give me Brooks Koepka in the PGA Championship this week.
That's what I took this week on golf.
Oh, yeah?
In our work tournament.
I think it's a good pick. I took Rory, but give me Brooks Koepka top 5 plus 350. I like that.
Yeah, I like it.
I don't see a world where he's outside of the top 10.
No, I think that dickhead's going to pull out he's going to do really good this time.
And if he finishes top 10, Mike, if you bet on that, that's plus 170. I mean, that's a good bet. That's a good safe bet.
Yeah.
I mean, he's only minus 125 for top 20.
What is Schauffele?
Schauffele's ahead of Brooks.
Okay, because he was the other dude I really liked for this week.
Yeah, I mean,
if I were to do anything, I would combo both of them being in the top.
Why not
10.
do Ludwig Ober?
I love
minus 105, top 20.
On Ludwig. Oh, top 20? Yeah.
Minus 105.
Hammer it.
So a lot of good picks
that
there.
Should be an easy fucking money bet.
So
I'll probably dabble in some golf this weekend.
Again, we will post tomorrow night our update. I think right now Mike needs to pull himself out of this hole, and I'm only down 105. I think Mike's down about 600. But
yeah, I started to pull myself out of that. I'm like,
Yeah, so thanks for listening to everyone. We appreciate you guys. Go support the channel. Join our Stroke Limit Reach Plus, where you'll get our best bets early, so you can either swerve us or see like if we're hot on, hockey or NBA, baseball, golf, kind of bet along with us, as well as we will answer your questions live on the air. So go ahead, support. It's only $3 a month. That's, again, on our website. And it's Stroke Limit Reached Plus. You'll see it in our bio of whatever podcast platform you are listening on, as well as give us a follow on TikTok at Stroke Limit Reached, at Twitter at S Limit Reached. And until next time, guys, peace out.
You're